Hello everybody, welcome back. It is me, your old pal Orpheus, with another adventure here on Orpheus Plays, although today this is another one of those shorter podcast kind of things. It's not really a podcast, but you'll see in a second. Anyway, I wanted to say hi, hope you're doing well, wherever you are, whether it's day or night. Doesn't matter to me as long as you're coming by and hanging out with your old pal Orpheus here. And today I wanted to discuss some of this content that's been going on to my channel lately. Now, you might have noticed that there are some videos coming out every few days that are called Enter Here. Now, what is Enter Here? Well, I stumbled across a gold mine, and I put a little post on my YouTube channel a couple months ago. And I'll tell you the saga of how this all started. My wife came home one day, and she said there's this library that has all of these educational videos at one of the local schools. And they're these videos that are basically meant to introduce students in school, middle school and high school, to different job occupations, right? So they're they're things like blood donor technician, EMT, cook, customer service agent, animal caregiver, forestry technician, stuff like that. There are so many of these videos, and I've been slowly digitizing them and uploading them to my channel because I think it's really cool to be able to give back some content like this to people. I have a little disclaimer that I put in the descriptions of all of them that says basically what I'm trying to do here is give this as a gift to the internet, because there are too many things these days that are lost media, and you know what lost media is. It's things that people like go and discuss on forums like, I remember seeing this thing this one time that was there were these two badgers and one of them was dressed as Santa Claus, you know, like stuff like that. And you know, and so I wanted to make sure that no one ever ran into that for this series, because I know a lot of students got this series in their schools. This was in the 90s and early 2000s that they were shown. They were all produced around 1995, and they were shown in schools up until some of them have checkout, you know, those little checkout cards you get out of the library in books. They're in the little envelope and you like fill out who you are and the date. There are some of those that are as recent as this year, so they're cleaning them out, but some of these teachers were still grabbing them, popping them into a VCR in their classroom. Who still has a VCR in 2025? Whatever. Anyway, so I picked all these up. They were given to us, and there's so many like different categories of them. Hold on, I have one of the tapes right here. Let's see if I can take a look at one of the different categories. I have to peel off that thing. All right, so they're in different categories of government and public administration, personal, family, and community services, wholesale and retail trade, transportation and public utilities, communications, entertainment, the arts, food and hospitality, manufacturing, technology and construction, business and financial operations, health and biomedical services, and agribusiness, forestry, wildlife, and mining. Now, this is not the entire set, unfortunately. It's like 40 tapes or something like that, and they're all around 10 to 12 minutes a piece, and so they're perfect like little bite-sized things. If you're interested in, like, I don't know, what does it look like to be a professional cook? Okay, well, this tells you, it follows a story of someone or a couple people that work for different companies, and sometimes they'll be like more well-known companies like Harley Davidson or Hyatt or a ton of different places, but most of the time they're just like a smaller company you've never heard of, somewhere that assembles products for the consumer market or something like that. And they'll follow the story of a few people, and they'll kind of introduce that job and that job field to the potential students, right? Because vocational tech jobs, practical job stuff, it's not really taught as much in the school system as it used to be. Sometimes some of the teachers will still push for it in some districts, but a lot of the time you're not going to see those like job training kind of thing. When you go to your school counselor, I think a lot of them now are still pushing for college. Back when I was in school, they would go, well, there's college, but you can also go be, someone that works with air conditioning, or you can be a plumber or a contractor or something like that. And so these videos they kind of like introduce people to all these different job market like categories, and it allows them to see if it's something they'd be interested in, something that would like pique their interest in terms of going to find out more from someone, maybe go get an apprenticeship or something. And so these videos are really fun. I've been having fun uploading them, well, digitizing, editing, uploading them. But the thing is about it, there is a small story that went with this. These tapes were lightly cursed when I first got them. How do I put this? Okay, so my wife and I have a VCR somewhere in the house. I've seen it. I know I can picture it right now. It's a gray VCR that's like one of those half ones. So it's like shorter. I don't know if you've seen those. It's not like a full size VHS deck. It's like a half one. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. So I didn't have a VCR, and I was like, what am I going to do? I got all these tapes, so I went on eBay. No. eBay, the global marketplace where half the stuff is shit. Anyway, so I go on eBay and I find one. I just did a light search. I didn't do any drilling down or anything. I don't like bidding on stuff anymore on eBay. I had my years of doing that stuff, watching auctions and, oh, am I going to get it at the last moment? Oh, some dickhead came in and swooped in. I don't do that anymore. So I found a VCR right on there. I bought the thing. I got it. It was $15 shipping or something like that. It took a week and a half to get here. It gets here, it starts going, everything's great. I'm digitizing the first batch of videos, and those are the ones that first came out on my channel a few weeks ago. And so I'm like, the picture's a little grubby. Maybe I could clean it up a bit, although I've started to lean more into that aesthetic. I've left my new VCR a little grubby, so it looks a little grubbier. I'll explain that in a second. So this thing started to look a little, like there was a lot of fuzziness going on. And I used to work a lot with, radio and TV equipment in my career, my former career. And so, and obviously I'm a kid that grew up I'm a Gen X person, so I grew up with VHS tapes and VCRs and all that stuff. DVD players were later and all that. Ooh, fancy tech. Anyway, so I got this thing. I was like, it's looking a little fuzzy. I could probably clean it up. You can go and get one of those tapes that you pop in there, and you can get them down at the damn grocery store still at some places. But I went on the big AZ retailer. I can't say it because my screen in front of me here will start getting mad. So I got it from there. It was the highly rated one. It looked like it was great. It looked like it would do the thing. I get it here, I pop it in there, and it starts going, and then it just spits the tape back out. And I was like, okay, I mean, maybe that's because it is a thing that it's like a piece of cloth basically that rubs up against the playhead inside there, the spinning playhead. And so you're going to hear a little bit of noise, right? And I figured, it finished its thing. I let it run for 30 seconds, which is what it recommended. It was making that noise a little bit the whole time, and then it ejected the tape. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's how it works, right? I go get a tape from my personal collection, and I pop it in there, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird. There's some sound going on, some popping and snapping, and I'm like, okay, maybe it just needs another run through there. And so I did. I ran it through again at 30 seconds. The thing ejected itself. It was making a little bit more of a weird noise that time. And so okay, it's clean. It's good and clean now. And I pop in one of the Enter Here tapes, and I start getting ready to digitize it. And it starts making horrible noises. horrible noises. If you've ever owned a VCR and it's gone bad on you, you know the horrible noises that it can make. And it was the noise of it eating tape. And it was buzzing and doing things. And I go, like frantically going to hit the buttons. I'm like, oh my God, eject. Well, it ejected itself. And then it just started blinking the lights on the front of it. And I was like, okay. Now, the tape that it did it with, I'm going to have to go find it again. It's actually one, I think it's theme park, like ride operator or something. It looked like a cool one, but anyway. So the tape ejects itself. The VCR starts blinking all the lights on the front. I'm like, this isn't good, right? So I go and I try a few more things. You power cycle it. Yes, we still powered cycle stuff back then. It sometimes resets some of the microprocessor or whatever's going on in there. I tried, a couple other tapes. Now at this point, all it was doing is I'd put in a tape, and it would kind of keep it there for a second, and then it would spit it back out. And I'm like, okay, it's not even taking the tape up into the reels, right? So I'm like, all right, these idiots that sold me this tape, they bricked my VCR, dude. Like, this thing cost me like $50 to get off of eBay, which, not terrible for one, but tested and working. It was doing fine. It was just a little dirty, and this is supposed to be one of the most basic things. Like, when you run a tape through a VCR and it goes a little weird, something might be crinkled with the tape, you might have pulled it out at some point or whatever. You have a kid that decided it was fun to make, all the black stuff come out of the tape, and you wind that thing back in. The VCRs are meant to take some beating, right? Well, this thing absolutely wrecked the VCR, and so I send a message to the seller, and I'm like, hey, so you bricked my VCR. It was doing fine. It was a little dirty, and I used your product, and it destroyed my VCR. So this is some crappy Chinese company that doesn't really care and uses some sort of translation program to write their emails, because I got back a whole bunch of bullshit about like, oh, we're very sorry that your older model VCR had issues. And so they tell me that they ran the issue past their engineering department, which they sell plastic VCR tapes that's clean old VHSs, whatever. Anyway, so they're like, our engineering team has looked at the problem and we've determined that it must be a capacitor or other electronic failure inside your VCR. And I'm like, so you're telling me I bought this thing from a guy that tested it, knew that it worked, used it himself, sold it to me, right? And I start using it. I digitized like 10 tapes, and on the 11th one, I decided first to put in your cleaning tape, and that's when it broke. And that was me? That was my fault? So they were like, well, we'll give you a $2 refund to say sorry. And I'm like, a $2 refund on a $50 product plus the shipping? Like, you're kidding me, right? Okay, well, we'll refund the cost of the tape. Okay, thanks for the $15 back. And so if you ever look for one of those tapes, you might find a review by someone that's angry. That might or might not be me. But no, it was on a different site, I think, where I left the review. Yeah, because I couldn't leave it on theirs because they didn't have an actual website or anything, but whatever. So that was the first VCR brick down on me. I finally got it to actually rewind tapes, and it doesn't hurt the tapes. So that's my rewind machine right now. So then I'm like, okay, I need another damn VCR. All right, so I go back on eBay. And I'm like, I'm going to pay a little extra for one, get a nicer one. And it was a what's known as a blue line tape. No, that's the one I have now. No, the one that I got was a Toshiba. It was like a really well-known brand. It was a solid brand back in the day, and it was one that was like, it's got all the bells and whistles and everything on it. So, I'm hooking it up. I hook it up all the way through all my stuff. Again, the guy says tested and working, no problem. It has been great, a workhorse. It's been serviced, all this other like inflation language bullshit that whatever. He probably had a Grok write it or something. But so it gets here, shipped again. It was like $56 plus another like $20 in shipping or something. The thing gets here. Oh yeah, I go and I'm going and I'm digitizing tapes again, baby. I'm getting them going and I'm editing them up and I'm feeling great. So I'm like, okay, time for a new batch. And I pull out 3 tapes and I play those 3. And then I'm like, that's good. I pull out another 2 tapes, get those done. All right, awesome. The 6th tape that I put in, the thing decided to eat tapes and spit it back out, and it wouldn't even do anything at that point. It wouldn't even take tapes. Okay? And again, lights start blinking on the front of it. And, this is not... VCRs are not devices meant to, give messages via blinking lights. You know what I mean? Like, if you have something rechargeable, like a speaker or a vape pen or something these days, and, lights blink on it, you're like, oh, okay, let me go check the manual, see what those blinks mean. Well, back in the day, when a VCR started blinking, or like a TV started, like, any light that was on there starts blinking, you're like, oh, shit, something's really wrong. So I'm like, oh, come on, man. The lights blink again. I go to the guy. I'm like, you know what? I can't take this, dude. I need a refund on this. Now, the first guy, when I told him about it, I didn't tell him about the tape. I might have withheld that detail, but I told him the VCR stopped working. I just don't know what to do. I'm not very happy. And so he immediately, within like 5 minutes of me sending that message, he refunded me the cost on that first VCR. So I was like, sweet, no foul, right? Even though I still kind of feigned being angry at that company. But so the second one blows out on me after 6 fucking tapes. 6 tapes. Each of them less than 12 minutes. So we're talking less than a movie worth of, about a movie worth of tape, okay? So I sent a message to this guy, and I'm like, hey, what the hell, dude? You said this was testing and working and everything. I said, how did you test this thing? Oh, we ran it for several hours in our shop and everything, and it sounds like what happened to you was just an incidence of it going bad under normal use. And I'm like, normal use? 6 tapes? Each of them less than 12 minutes, and you're telling me that it was its time to die right when I was trying to go for that 7th tape. Is that what you're telling me? Or that 6th tape? I can't deal with this anymore. And I was like, I'm so pissed at you, dude. Like, you sold me something that was crap, and now you're trying to pass it off as like, no, it's fine. The thing that he sent me, it was like, you can tell it was like wiped down for the pictures, but the inside of it was absolutely filthy. Like dust bunnies and shit in there, because I looked when they went bad, and I was like, oh, okay, well, sold me a piece of garbage. So he refused to refund it. Absolutely refused. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I went and left him a seller review that was scorched earth. Left him just the most horrible thing. I'm like, the guy lied. He said he tested it and he didn't. I mean, obviously he didn't. Said he gave it a wipe down, didn't clean the interior, and it broke. And I explained, under normal use. Give me a break. Anyway, so I get my 3rd VCR off of eBay. And this one's a blue line. It's let's see, what's the brand on it? Panasonic. It's a blue line, which is like a more, it's more tough, you know what I mean? It's like a slightly more higher end VCR from back in the day. And so I get that thing. It gets here after 10 days, I think, of shipping, because for some reason they charge you like $20 in shipping, and then they use the slowest possible shipping like that they can. Oh, I fucking hate that. Anyway, so it gets here. I pop it out of the box. I'm like, yeah, unwrap all the bubble wrap and everything. I get on there. I put it in my little area where I got the VCR. I normally would keep it. Hook up all the digitizing equipment. Except for one thing, because I flip the VCR to the back and I look. And it's got coaxial cable output, which, that's what they all should have. Coax input and output. It's that little thing you screw on, right? And then it's supposed to have 3 what they're called RCA plugs, although you might know them as the ones that are red, white, and yellow, right? Those 3 plugs that are like barrel plugs that you plug into the back of older stuff, okay? Those things are called RCA plugs, and they are video and left and right audio. Okay, so I'm like, this is cool. I get to the back of it. I've got the cords in my hand, because the digitizer has the 3 cords and 3 inputs. So I'm like, okay, go. And there's only an audio and a video. And I'm like, oh, man, like my TV and radio experience just starts kicking in. And I'm like, this is going to, I'm just like, okay, I guess I can work with this, but I have to get like some adapters, and I got to get a different digitizer and stuff that works with it's got to be a special demodulator for the coax cable thing at this point, because the digitizer I had didn't like the single output and everything, and I'm getting buzzes and hums and stuff, and I had ordered like $45 worth of gear to make this thing work. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. I can't just let this go. So I got a little crazy and I spliced some wires. Like, I actually cut some things open and spliced some things and then plugged things back in. So now it thinks that it's outputting a mono signal for the audio, but it's actually it's complicated, and it probably will burn down at some point, but whatever. It works for now, and so you're getting a new batch of Enter Here videos coming out. They're coming out every 3 days or so, and they're just going to cover all range of topics. I've got like at least the next month scheduled out for them. So every 3 days or so, you'll see them coming out at about midnight, and they're all going to be on this cool playlist that you can see right on my channel. I'll have it in the outro here. You'll be able to click on the playlist, watch all those. They are so perfect for just kicking back and just kind of chilling. You put them on, they're all so cheesy. They're like totally made to like be hip and fresh for the 90s, and they're incredibly cheesy, but they're great. The fashion, the hairstyles, the narration, the businesses that like may not even, like the tech sectors that don't even exist anymore. They're great to see. The graphics are awesome, and like I had mentioned earlier, I was gonna clean this one up too, but number one, I got stung a little bit by that stupid tape, that cleaning tape, so I'm not gonna screw with it. But what I have noticed is that the little bit of dirtiness of the heads in there is making the video look absolutely amazing in terms of what I'm going for, which is the retro kind of feel. It's coming from a VCR, an old VCR. These are old crappy tapes from a school that were used for over a decade to teach kids about all sorts of stuff. So I think they're really neat. I think they're going to be fun and educational for you. If nothing else, just something to put on in the background. Smoke a joint, whatever, and just chill out and watch them. They're so good. Anyway, that's what's going on with all those videos that are coming out on my channel. Don't worry, I'm still going to be making some normal content here and there. I have a tiny injury that I'm dealing with right now, and I've got some other stuff in life going on that it's just not right to do some VR stuff at the moment, where I'm just hacking and slashing and stuff. But I'll get back to it real soon. You'll see all those episodes coming up real soon as well. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you be good, do good, and I hope you treat yourself well, because you know what? You absolutely deserve it. We'll see you next time here on Orpheus Plays. Bye.